This episode of a Hero's Journey podcast is brought to you by SMP Inc. right here in Las Vegas, Arizona, Seattle. They're popping up all over the place. And then JPS Computers out of Oregon. That's Alex and Jesse. Thank you guys so much for everything. Websites, social media. We love it here at Hero's Journey podcast. My name is Brian Hopkins, and this is just a reminder that each and every one of us wakes up the hero of our own story. You're the CEO of your own company. You are in control of what you do. It's how, when you wake up, you get that breath, what are you going to do with it? And that's what I love about this show. That's what I love about the guests that we have on, is having just all levels of people on the show that you get to hear their failures, which are basically they're learning from. You get to hear about their successes, and you may connect to someone that we have on this show. It's like, hey, I'm like that person. That's most like me, and I can do that too. Or they're speaking to you on the day that you need to hear it. That's what happens. Well, this past week, I get a message from a good buddy of mine, Lindsay, and he was like, dude, you have to have my boy on the show. This guy, you got to hear his story. And we jumped on the phone, and I'm like, yeah, let's stop talking right now. Let's just talk when we get in the room and sit down. I want to get to know you on camera, so that way you guys can hear this as well. So today's guest, he goes by Joe D. And I was just told right off the air, Joe D. Raffaelli.
You got it.
Boom, I nailed it. And I didn't think I was going to, because he told me right before we started.
One shot.
Yeah, there we go. So what's the origin of that last name?
Sicilian.
Okay.
Yeah.
My girl is Ruffino.
Okay.
So, yeah, exactly. And you walked in, and I thought, Where's the other mob guys? I saw him at the front, and I'm like, that's got to be Joe D. That's awesome.
Thanks, Brian.
Dude, it was a great conversation that I had with you last week, because, I know Brian, and Brian, he's been the leader of like these CEO groups that I'm aware of, or he's been a part of them, and he leads them.
Yep.
And he speaks to people around the world and inspires them. And I knew him as my boss. He was somebody who, when I say my boss, I was hired by Red Rock Casinos, or the casino and Sunset Station Casinos, brought me in once a month, and then it became twice a month from LA to perform. And that's how I became a resident of Las Vegas. And it was because of Brian. But the funny thing was, I thought his name was Ryan, and and it wasn't until after we moved on from there that Brian and I became great friends. And he's so inspiring. That guy, there's no let up in this dude.
Brian's the real deal. And as far as anybody I've met, I don't know anybody that goes harder for longer.
It's true.
I mean, he just gets after it.
He was supposed to like pop in. But then he hits me and says, I'm going to Thailand. I'm working on this project out there. And he sends me all this stuff, all these photos. This just yesterday.
Yep.
And it's incredible. But for him to talk so highly of you was a cool thing, because that's how you said that you guys met, doing one of these CEO things.
Yeah, it was a CEO executive level mastermind. And you find out very quickly who can swim in deep water.
Right.
As everybody, puts on their best face when they walk out into the world. But when you get in a room and other players are in the room, you find out who's after it. And it didn't take long for Brian and I to connect at a high level. And I mean, we've been boys probably 16, 17 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
That long. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's incredible. And I said this to you on the phone. I thought that was really cool, because you get people that are in these positions that are being successful, right? But then to put all these masterminds in the same room and try and learn from each other, I thought, mind blown. Like, this is incredible, because you guys are pushing each other, and then you're also helping each other deal with the stress, because with bigger success means bigger problems and more things to have to deal with. So what's that like in something like that?
I think the thing that I appreciate the most about surrounding myself with people that are playing a big game, or at least taking on life at the fullest of whatever that capacity is for them, is that they're going to have a different perspective than what maybe I have or what maybe you have. And together we can help shape and guide and navigate. The easiest way to go up a mountain is to go with somebody who's been up there. And there are different legs of every journey that somebody else has been through that we have yet to go through. And so I always want to connect myself with people so that at different points I can check in and say, hey, here's a challenge that I'm having right now. How do I get from this point to that point?
Right.
And, you get in a mastermind, you get different perspectives. Everybody's at a different place on the journey, but we're all pushing to be our best.
That's incredible. I do remember one day, Brian and I were on a ride, and we were up at Red Rock Canyon, or Red Rock over there, and we went off of this side road, and he points at this wall, and he goes, we took that wall. We all went down the side of that wall on ropes. And I went, what? Because I'm afraid of heights. And I'm like, you did that? And he's like, yeah, it was part of something I put together. I organized this, and we all took this wall. Did you do that?
So the story behind the wall is that Brian said he wanted to do something to get people out of their comfort zone. And he has known that for years. I've been canyoneering, and where we do do some climbing, but mostly what we focus on rappelling through canyons, where you carry in what you're bringing, and that's all you have. And so he said, hey, I want to do one of these rappelling sessions. So I brought one of my partners that I go canyoneering with me. And I said, it wouldn't be right for me to lead the day because I'm part of the mastermind and I don't want to change that dynamic. I want to be with them. So I brought my partner, Cody Lewis, and everybody got the opportunity to go down the wall and face, whatever they were taking on. And, the fun thing about it is canyoneering in general is it's intimidating and uncomfortable enough. And we've done some walls that are, 300-foot rappels, which, a human looks like the size of an ant when you look down.
Mm-hmm.
And that's uncomfortable enough. But typically what we do is before you go off and go over the edge is you think about what you're playing for in your life. Like what's important to you right now. And that could be anything from your business, from your relationships. Maybe you're in a tough place with one of your kids, or, you're having some dynamics, and that's what you take on. And so what we do at that point is marry the two so that you can get used to feeling uncomfortable and yet still moving forward. Because, honestly, isn't that what life's about?
Yeah, exactly.
And it doesn't matter what we're talking about.
It doesn't. It
Right.
doesn't.
And everybody has that thing that they're like, man, this is the tough part for me right now.
Yeah.
So,
well, that's funny that you say that, and because it's one, I can't believe that I'm talking to the guy who organized that, because it stuck out in my mind. And I know Brian for so many things, but that was one thing. I'm like, you took this on. That's incredible and well put, right? And I was just giving Chase advice on another episode because he's leaving for Austria, and he's like, what's bothering me right now is I'm flying out there by myself. Mm-hmm. So just making sure that he gets the right flights. He's going into another country. He doesn't even have anywhere to stay for the first 3 days of this whole journey. And then he told, we're going through that. And I went, wow. But here's the thing. He went last year. You went last year.
Mm-hmm.
And so now you're going into known territory, but now you're doing it on your own. Those are the kinds of things that we take on as individuals. You're taking on more responsibility, but you know that you can do this. And I said, next time you'll be able to bring somebody else and help them, guide them along.
Yes.
Scott said it really well. He was like, it's these little things that we're scared of doing and that kind of thing that are our character development moments as we grow as a person.
Exactly.
100%.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I want to back this up because now, if I remember right, and correct me if I'm wrong, I'm sorry, but you're Military. You're at, were you not? No, you weren't military. No.
No, I just have the haircut.
There we go. No. No, what you do, you have a business. Tell me about what you do, because you help other people.
Yeah, so I'm involved in multiple facets in the real estate space. So my start in the real estate was helping people buy and sell.
Okay.
Naturally, it led to becoming an investor, where we buy property, hold property, fix and flip property. But that has led me into being a developer. In fact, on Wednesday, we're doing a grand opening of a 156 unit affordable housing projects. It's an apartment development in North Las Vegas. And it is a true public-private partnership where we raised capital, built the project, received grants, also have some debt on it. But what it allows us to do is bring a community asset in that we are, well below what typical market rate rents will be.
Oh, wow.
So if a regular market rate 2-bedroom is say $1,400 a month, ours will be around $850 a month.
Oh, geez.
And the reason we're able to do that is because we were able to navigate the minefield of the grant process and receive a federal grant of a little over $19 million. So it creates a win-win.
Right.
We're able to charge a lot less. So, and this is workforce. This is not like, you're coming in and doing nothing. You have to be working. And the catch is that there's a ceiling on what you can make. So we're really catering to that part of the population especially in Las Vegas, a service town, that's absolutely critical from a workforce standpoint.
Right.
But they oftentimes can get priced out. So
right, exactly. Because I was talking to my girl about this, and she's like, "Wow, she does well for herself, but she was asking, how does somebody survive this when gas and all these things and rent and all this stuff is going up, but the minimum wage is staying the same?
Yeah.
How does someone survive that?" And I'm like, that's been the question since the Reagan days. Like it goes way back. It's inflation and who's looking out? Like, no one. You're actually looking out for those people. You took this on yourself. Why?
Yeah, me and a couple of partners, we're looking for how we can do something, how we can make a difference in the community, and at the same token, have less competition, because quite frankly, this space is not as crowded as it should be. There should be more of this.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that launches on Wednesday?
Yeah,
which is
we cut the ribbon Wednesday. About 10 a.m. we'll be cutting the ribbon. And
congratulations!
Thank you. Yeah, it's fun. Yeah,
congratulations! Are you looking to do more of that, or is that?
Yeah, no, we have another site that we've already got through the works that will be breaking ground in the fourth quarter of this year, and then we have some land that we own. We just got all the plans approved from the city of Henderson, so we're looking at that, and then we have an option on another piece of land that will probably close on, I would say, by the end of the summer on the land, and then we'll start the planning on that. So our objective is to roll, about 12 to 18 months out, tee up the next project, things like that.
Very cool. Yeah. Because this, it's a growing community. Las Vegas it's growing really fast. Yeah. In my neighborhood, they have the new Durango, casino right there. Right, I live right there, and there's apartment buildings going up each way. There was one on fire. The other day, I was driving right by it and had video of just this massive thing caught up in flames. And I was just praying that no one was hurt.
Thankfully, there wasn't. In fact, that developer of that project is a good friend of both Brian and I.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Brian and I were on the phone with him that night.
Is he okay?
He's good, man. He, his response to me when I called him, I said, "Hey, brother, I'm just letting you know I'm here." And he says, "Man, anytime the world hands me lemons, I'm making me some lemonade." He goes, obviously it's a tough pill to swallow. He's been working on the project for 7 years. And they were 4 months away from having the opportunity to open their doors. And,
right.
And he said, he's very spiritual, and he just said, obviously the universe has other plans for what they want me to do, and so I'm bringing that forward. Yeah.
Do they know what started it?
They haven't officially ruled, and I don't want to speculate.
Yeah, don't. Yeah. I was just curious.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And I was worried about the buildings next door on either side, that were open, because you can drive by and there are people living in those complexes next to it. And I was thinking, man, like, that's a lot of smoke that was burning for days. And people, smoke finds a way to get in places. And I was thinking about their furniture and their walls and the smell that could be inside the buildings around it, which is that's pretty
heavy.
It's just
we're fortunate that the wind cooperated.
Yeah, it was blowing the other direction,
right? Which
is crazy. It was like towards the strip, and avoiding and not jumping buildings. That was a gift in itself. That's crazy. So how did you get to where you are right now? Because that's a story. Where are you from?
So originally born and raised in Long Island, New York.
That explains it, huh? Joe D. Okay, but go ahead. Yeah.
Long Island.
Yeah.
What's interesting is I moved all the way across the country, and I thought I would just be Joe. And I moved out here to go to UNLV, and my mother's sister, my aunt, who's more like a second mom to me, especially since I moved out here after high school. So I'm on campus, and I'm introducing myself as Joe, and of course, in every social circle, there's more than one Joe. And so I wasn't 15 minutes, and there was a second Joe, and the people are like, all right, what's your last name? And I said, Durafia. Like, all right, you'll be Joe D. I'm like, all right, a couple thousand miles away, and the nickname follows.
Do they call you that there too? Or?
Yeah, that's what I grew up with. There's always another Joe.
There you go. Yeah. That's great. So what did you go to school for then out here?
So, like most people at that age, I had no idea. My dad, who was a union mechanic for the New York City Transit Authority, my mom was a nurse, and they were both big believers in go get your education. And so I come out here. It was a safe landing in their mind because my aunt and my uncle were here.
Yep.
So at least family was nearby, right?
Yeah. 3,000 miles away.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I knew I wanted to leave New York. I love New York, but I love visiting it. I didn't want to live there anymore. It's just way too crowded, way too busy.
Right.
And so I just asked when I enrolled at the school. I should say, what is this school good for? What is a good degree? And they were like, oh, we're really good at hospitality, the hotel restaurant business. And I was like, all right, yeah, I'll give that a go, with not really much commitment.
Right.
But I understood it was a business degree, and that's really what I was interested in.
Okay.
Understanding business.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So what was the next step then? Because, it sounds like, you're rolling with B, and B is like, I call him the CEO of everything.
Yeah, he is.
He has his hand in so many things in this community, which he's giving back. Then he's also developing, even Thailand of all places, bringing, what he's doing there, a little bit of Vegas
100%.
to Thailand.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so where did this, because how did you get from where you are to where you are now?
Shortly after college, I was managing restaurants in Southern California, and I wound up managing a place called Parker's Lighthouse down in Shoreline Village in Long Beach. And I wound up managing it with a fraternity brother of mine from UNLV, and he's pretty famous now. A guy by the name of Guy Fieri. So yeah,
little bit.
Yeah,
just a casual guy.
Just a little bit.
So Guy and I were managed that restaurant for a couple of years together. It was clear Guy was built for the restaurant business. I loved it. I was good at it, but I did not like being nailed to the same building. And I didn't like the weekends, holidays. I knew someday I was going to have a family. Mm-hmm. And as I was looking up the food chain of the people that, promotions ahead, like they just looked exhausted all the time. And I just said, I got to do something different. So I came back to Vegas and had a family friend that, he knew he came and visited me at the restaurant a few times. He saw how I ran the place. He says, you'd be great in real estate. I didn't know anything about real estate at the time. I was 24 years old. I'm like, I'm renting an apartment. He says, don't worry, you'll be great. I was naive enough to believe when he said it'll be easy, right? But I also, being from New York, I was not uncomfortable with getting out and making things happen and talking to strangers. And I built my business on the back of making relationships. And so That's where
Brilliant.
Brian and I met
Yeah.
many years later, and I've helped. It's right out. I think we're approaching 4,000 clients buy or sell a home or a commercial building or land, and then we start flipping properties. We start buying and holding long term for rentals. We like the passive income side,
Right.
and then I just because of the relationships I have, I'd get opportunities to come into different ventures. One, because I know a lot of people, and then two, I know some people that have money that like to invest and trust me. And a couple of years ago, when Brian was launching Earth Vision, which is a green energy packaging company.
Yes, I know about that.
Yep.
That's biodegradable.
Yep, 100%.
Okay, all right.
So, you think about all the single-use plastics or the
Yeah.
styrofoams and things like that. There's a big push, and there are states and places that have mandates on eliminating that. And Brian connected with a guy that had patented technology, and they were putting it together. He came to me and said, "Hey, Joe D, I want to get some warehouse space and things like that. And before I go out and run around and look at stuff, I want to understand the business model.
Right.
It's easy to go find space, but you might get the wrong space. If I understand the model, now I can put it together." So when I start looking at the business model, I sat through a couple of meetings to hear what they were talking about. I called Brian. I said, "Hey, Brian," I go, I believe in what you're doing here.
I want in.
And that's exactly it. I said, "What do I got to do?"
I want in. Exactly.
And he's like, "Well, yeah, no, you can put some money in." I go, "Do you need any other money?" And he goes, "Yeah, actually." He goes, "We're doing a funding round that closes on Friday, and this is like on a Tuesday." So I said, "Great." So I picked up the phone, called up some of my best past clients, some of the guys that I know that like to think outside of the box, like to invest. And I think we raised like $1.5 million in a couple of days. So that was cool. Yeah.
Oh,
So that was
awesome.
cool. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what you're talking about is this business that, because he got into this. It's biodegradable packaging. Like
Yep.
if you bought a sandwich or a hamburger and all this stuff,
Yep.
and it's folded up, and that actually just goes away.
Yeah,
It's
and-
made out of like vegetable.
Yeah, it's a pea starch, potato starch, corn starches, all the waste,
Right.
the starch waste that they fill landfills with that just decomposes. They've found a way to take that and now make it a utilizable tool. There's a press and technology
Yes.
package that puts it together, and it's got a timeline, but then it starts breaking down.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah,
So you're throwing it away, but it is actually dissolving.
100%.
And so I thought it was brilliant. He was sharing that with me. I want to say it was maybe a year ago. And it was like,
Now you know why I said, "Hey, how do I get in on this?"
exactly.
It's like this looks like something I should be a part of.
That's the future right there.
Yeah.
So how cool. But that's Brian. That's why I call him the CEO of everything. He's put me in rooms before. I remember it was the American Heart Association or something like that. And he's calling me up and he's like, "Hey, I want you to come to this. We're having a meeting." And I'm like, "What? Me? Why me? I don't have any money." It's wrong guy. Brian, he goes, "No, I want you there."
Nice.
I went, "Okay." And I sit in the room and there's a guy in the corner. He's got a cigar. It's not lit. And he goes, "That guy right there." He's like, he owns Switch and he owns blah, blah, blah. And he's like, he's telling me all these things this guy has. And I'm like, again, why do you have me in the room? I don't understand. And these young kids come in and they tell their story about how they've had multiple heart surgeries, 2 brothers, little kids, they're young. And I can stand in front of thousands of people and do what I do. But he had me. They went around the room. Everybody had to stand up, say your name, what business or whatever it is that you do. And the guy in the corner was Mike Borden.
I know Mike.
Yeah, Mike. Yeah. And see, I didn't know him then. I know him now.
Yeah.
And so go around the room, and I'm like, wow, this is impressive. Like all these people that are in this room. And I'm the last one, and I'm nervous. And I joked around about being nervous, saying my name and what I do after, everybody. And when it was all over, there were all these people around my table talking to me. And Brian looks at me and goes, "That's why I brought you." And I ended up going home and writing a song about that day and what I just witnessed. And he's like, there it is. And that's why. That's, all these people were coming up, and I made friends.
Yeah.
And I made friends with people that have the finger on the pulse here in Las Vegas. And it was really, really cool. But that's Brian.
He quickly can separate pretenders from contenders.
Right?
Like he knows, and it doesn't matter what game you're playing, because everybody I've ever met through him, he will say, Joe, this guy's one of us, or this guy's a hammer, or this guy's and I'll be like, okay, I know exactly who I'm going to meet.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, that's really cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Yeah, and that's B. Pretenders from contenders. I like that. Huh, Chase?
I like it a lot.
I
do. It's got a little not alliteration. It's got the rhyme though, and I like rhymes.
Just all of it though. It's said a lot.
There's a lot of people, especially in Vegas, right? A lot of people running around acting like they're somebody.
Yeah.
Right? Which good for them.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, when you peel back a few layers, you're going to find out who's got the medal. Like who's going to go to the mat, who's going to follow through. And to me, that's the proof positive, right? That's who I want to spend my time with.
Right.
I don't care what you're doing, but if you're that kind of person, I want to know you.
Yeah, that's great. Hey, that's a reel. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Right on.
From the beginning of that to the end of that, that's a reel.
Copy that.
So you get into real estate.
So you know what? I'm gonna pivot with you.
I want you to,
okay.
Yeah, because I want to know this.
I want to talk about something that I haven't talked about.
Please.
Okay. And so, are you comfortable sharing your age?
Yeah.
How old are you?
I'm 54.
Okay, perfect. So am I.
Okay.
When's your birthday?
May 9th.
Okay, so you just turned 54.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll be 55 in August.
Okay.
So I don't know who the demographics of your audience is, but when I see the title of the story,
Yeah.
and I listen to the hero of your own journey,
Yep.
right? A couple of years ago, I got diagnosed with cancer. Yeah. So, and that breath that you just took was exactly the breath that I took when the doctor came in and said, the biopsy has confirmed that it's cancer. It's not something you ever want to hear, right? You don't want it on anybody. No. And yet to know that it's you. And if you're up for chatting about it for a few minutes, I would love to.
Please.
Because I think there's people out there that we can help.
Yeah.
So, so when I first heard about it, my first reaction is, I'm short, 5 foot nothing. I got an attitude like I'm much bigger, right? When I was an athlete growing up. My objective was to hit the hardest guy on the field as hard as I could, so that they would know I was there. And so that's my first reaction is, and I'm going to curse on this.
Please.
Said, fuck that. No way. This is bullshit. And I started with anger, and I started with frustration. And I've been married to my wife, Shannon. Now we've been together. Our first date was January 6th, 2004. And she just turned to me and she's like, wow, we got this. And had my back all the way through while I was going through the motherfucks. Right. And it was weeks, man. It was weeks of motherfuck this, motherfuck that. And then I started, through a suggestion of a friend of mine, a journey inward. And the journey inward was really about going deep and really taking a look and taking an inventory on everything in my life. And I took a couple of months to do it. I didn't disappear from the world, but I on purpose set aside 5 hours a day. And during that time, I would go get a massage. I'd go get acupuncture, or any of these kind of things that would get me to chill out. Like Brian, my brain's usually going 100 miles an hour, and thereby so is my activities. And what I came to realize that, and this is the metaphor that I live my life every day on now, is that the fight, the battle, I'm going to use the word negative energy that's associated with that kind of a rage, I wasn't going to solve this. And what was going to solve it, what was going to beat it, was the most powerful energy in the world, and that's love. And as I had to sit and explain to my kids this is what I got going on. And, you know, of course it's easy to put on a brave face for other people, but you know, quietly on my own, I was like, holy shit, this is real. Like, this is fucking legit. And then to surrender into love and to really start looking through the lens of life through love. It's completely changed everything. Now, I'm going to bring this up because it's one that men don't like to talk about. And I heard you made the comment about you got a lot of sausage fests on the show and shifting it up. But my cancer was prostate cancer, right?
Yeah.
And for a lot of guys that are out there in their 40s and 50s and 60s, you kind of have a general idea of what that is. And then, you know, there's a big stigma attached to it, right? And so, you know, there's a number of treatments that can be had. The reality is when you're younger, there's less options because any radiation or anything that you get is going to break that part of your body down. And theoretically, the life expectancy is going to be a problem with what you're able to do with your body. And so my wife and I, we made the decision to have the prostate removed. And the objective was to catch it before the cancer got out of the prostate capsule. So with that, I met quite a few men that, you know, were older and, you know, and maybe didn't take care of good health or just, you know, maybe didn't have the same fortune I have. But a lot of them, you know, sadly, you know, hadn't been able to get an erection. Sadly, you know, some of them have to wear diapers, you know, because they can't hold, called incontinent. And so I looked through the lens and said, okay, like that's not the outcome that I want. And that's where the love of lean in came in, as I started loving on everything. I started loving on anything that had ever bothered me in the past. I started making peace with things that used to irritate me. And really what came out of it is this lightness, this surrender. And, you know, I'll fast forward through the surgery. I was very fortunate. You know, I had the ability to go to Southern California and go to the City of Hope, the best cancer surgeons. Prostate cancer was his jam. You know, came out healthy, but you know, you got months of healing. And I'm convinced today the reason why I don't need a diaper and the reason why I can still have sex with my wife is because of love. And what I would share with every man that's out there is, like, we're all tough, but what's fucking tougher is to face life with love and with grace and to look through that lens and how to be a bigger person by just loving people and caring, regardless of what you know about them, what you don't know about them. You know, our world is filled with judgment. Our world is filled with all these people that are, you know, this theme where it's not at the depths of living our true selves. And for me, you know, a couple things that I would share to everybody who's listening. If you're anywhere in your 40s, 50s, 60s, you should be getting your blood test done every single year. And I will tell you, I only did it because my wife and my mother both gave me a hard time. So with that being said, I want to throw it back to you because I know I just dropped a bomb on you.
Yeah.
And I appreciate you being with me on that. And it's the first time I'm sharing this openly. Like my inner circle of friends, like B, he knew, you know, people like that, because I need lifelines, but I wasn't putting it out there on social or doing any of those things. So.
Well, you dropped it on me, man. I'm sorry he gone through that, but.
Well, you want to hear the irony of that? It's the best fucking thing that ever happened to me.
Really?
Where else do I get this gift?
Right.
Right? I mean, look, the way I look at life is we're here for experiences.
Yeah.
And the experiences that we get to have get to shape us of who we are depending on how we want to handle them. And so for me, you know, I was fortunate enough that I had a path that was supportive. Because I'm certain alcohol, drugs, all those other things, they very much could have been the option.
Right.
Of dealing with that frustration and that anger. So, anyway.
That's brave of you to share this with everybody, and I appreciate it. You got me, dude, because I could feel what you've gone through, and
thank you.
It's scary, and I'm sorry, but I don't have any words right now.
It's all good, man.
Sorry, dude.
No, I know. I'm sure I touched something there for you.
Yeah, but I don't know anyone going through it.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, we all have our stuff. We all
Mm-hmm.
have people going through things.
Here-
But I'm sitting across from somebody who you just shared a very scary thing, and you just shared with everyone. And that's what I'm talking about. Like, there's somebody out there who might be going through this right now, who needs to hear this.
Yeah, whether they're going through it or somebody they know or love
Exactly.
needs to go through, I
Yeah.
mean, love is the answer.
Yeah.
So I was sitting with a client about a year afterwards, and it was a friend of mine's parents, and they were selling a property of theirs, and I was surprised that his wife, the mother, my friend's mother, didn't show up for the meeting. And that doesn't normally happen when people want to sell a home. They're usually going to both be there.
Mm-hmm.
And I said to him, I said, "Is everything okay? I thought your wife was going to be here." And he's like, "No, she's just having a hard time right now." And I share this with you because it was the day you and I first talked, like
Really?
last week,
Yeah.
that he sent me a message. It was a year later from our meeting. And he shared with me that he just got diagnosed with prostate cancer. And I'm sitting there, right? Like that feeling you just expressed, that's just came over me. Like, and I looked at him and I said, "Bro, I got you through this. Like I've been through it." And I said, "But the first thing I want to do is, does your wife do video calls?" He goes, "Yeah." I said, "Let's get her on video call." And I talked to her and I picked up the phone. I went in the other room and I just looked in her eyes and I just said, "Listen, he is going to be fine." And I talked to her and she's melting down and bawling and everything else. Listen, everything we need to experience, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, perfect. Get through your emotion. Because I watched my wife go through it. My wife was the cheerleader. She was the, "You got this." And,
Mm-hmm.
and then when I came through the other side and after I did the inventory of my life, I said, "Listen, I'm proud of who I am as a man.
Mm-hmm.
I'm proud of who I am as a husband. What the difference I've made in this community. I've raised great kids. I got the best friends in the world that I can call at any time." I'm like, and I said to her, I go, "I'm not going anywhere, but I need you to know, like, I'm good." And that surrender for me with sharing with her gave me freedom. But then she had to go down the rabbit hole because she was the cheerleader to begin with.
Right.
And so she was the one holding it together. Now she had to face the reality of, and we just happened to have a neighbor a few doors down whose husband, they're older, they're in their 80s. Her husband had passed away like a year and a half before, and my wife was helping her out. So she was watching the difficulties that lady was going through. And then my wife went down that rabbit hole and she had to go and get to the emotional bottom. She didn't lose it or get wrecked, but you had to face it. And the same thing I'm experiencing with that lady on the phone, on that video chat, is let her cry, let her feel it. And I told her, you need to work through this emotion so that both of you are lock solid. So listen, the reality is this. Here's the way I look at your hero's journey. It doesn't matter what it is. We're all going to face some shit.
Yeah.
Guaranteed.
Yep.
There's no avoiding it. It's who's in your foxhole with you, who do you have around you, and then what energy are you going to go through it with? And for me, from here forward, from that decision forward, everything is based out of love. And so when Brian told me I had to be on this show and he told me the name, I was like, fuck yeah. And I already knew I was going to bring this up. And that's why when you said, don't tell me
I
anymore.
didn't want to know, but wow.
It's really like one of the
sorry.
cruelest and like most beautiful things that life does, that it puts you in these horrible situations that give you the best outlook on life.
Yeah, but
The opportunity is there.
It's the opportunity. We have the opportunity every day to turn bad things into, negative. I mean, into a positive. The theme song that I wrote is called "The View." That's the song for A Hero's Journey. It's one of the songs off my album, and it's how we look at it. Like, it can be the darkest time for us, but it's that little bit of light that I'm walking towards. I got to hold on to that.
Yeah.
I got to know that there's light at the end of the tunnel kind of thing. I mean, that old cliche, but you're walking through it with love now.
Yeah.
And you found that, and now you're able to pass that along to somebody else a year later, not a year later, but somebody you met a year.
Oh, I've
day.
helped. I can't tell you how many people, once you go through something like this, everybody you know, when they meet somebody that's in it or about to go through it or whatever, they say you need to call Joe D.
Yeah.
And I had a buddy of mine, Travis. He has a different form of cancer. He's down in Southern California. And another friend said, you need to call Joe D. And he's in the real estate space. And so he called me and I talked to him and I said, so, where are you at? And he was in the motherfuck stage. I'm fucking kicking this thing's ass and da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And, I could feel he was getting worked up. He was getting ready for a fight, right? I mean, and that's, granted, metaphor, fight for life. And I had said to him, and he has 2 young sons and a wife, and I said, are you open for another point of view? And he's like, yeah. And I said, you've been a fighter your whole life. I know that. And he's like, yeah. I said, that's not the energy. I said, this is love. And I said, and here's what I want you to ask yourself is, let's just say this does take you out, which is a very difficult thing to take a look at, but you're going to look at it. How do you want your 2 sons to remember you? What's the legacy you're leaving behind there? What's the energy? What do you want to teach them? And I mean, I'm not saying anything out of turn here. Travis knows. He's talked about it with people. I mean, he and I were bawling on the phone.
Right.
Right. And he sends me pictures, texts, the whole 9 yards, and just like, I'm loving on my kids. I'm loving on my son. I'm loving on my wife. And the way he's walking through this journey is same way. And just a much, much more effective way of operating in life. And I'm going to switch back to your journey over to Austria. First 3 days, you know what's going on.
Yep.
There's a lot of emotional energy that's going to come up from that. I mean, it's probably started now. And while you're on the flight, it's going to build. And you get to choose exactly how you're going to handle it. And the outcome will be different based on that choice.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, I call it rolling with the punches, right? It's like, you just kind of have to trust in yourself that you'll figure out, that you are good enough to figure out how to pivot and do what you need to do to figure it out.
100%.
You're going to do great.
Yeah.
You're going to be great. And, it's been fun watching him do that. I can't thank you enough for sharing that and being brave enough to just sit here and talk with me about that. I didn't see it coming.
All good.
You got me. I apologize.
No.
You kind of took there's like a punch in the gut. Like I said, I don't know anyone going through it, but it's like I felt what you were feeling right now or what you felt and what your family had gone through and the people around you who love you gone through. And I'm sorry I'm sitting here.
Man, I appreciate it. Shows the humanness, man. I mean, that's you're connecting on a love level. Like, we don't know each other that well.
Yeah, I know I don't, but,
right?
But I know.
But the energies are there.
Exactly. And Brian, and Brian, I love Brian. And Brian's like, you got to have Joe on, and didn't tell me why, and you have people directly in your life that you are affecting in a good way and helping spin this on a positive, because I live my life like that. I'm not, it's wild because my brother's dying. And, I woke up this morning, my little sister, I'm the oldest of 4. And then it goes my brother Cody, my sister Angel, and my little sister Buffy. And Angel went and there's some sort of like brick thing or whatever that they're doing at our old high school.
Okay.
And she went and put our names and the years we graduated, and then Hopkins, and we woke up to this unveiling that she did. And to leave our legacy on that street, in that place, in that space, we were all laughing and joking, but the underside was she did it because she's like, hey, this is us.
Yeah.
I love you guys. And my brother is joking around, but we're all really grateful. The reality is that no matter what, we love each other. and we know that he could be taking his last breath any day. And right now I'm trying to raise money. I have a fun GoFundMe going on right now, and I'm putting on a show. I've raised 6,000. I'm going to raise another 21, and I'm getting him stem cell. One stem cell shot, because there's nothing else that can be done. And one of my doctor buddies, who is one of the leading guys in this, but they can't do it in the U.S. He's like, here's some money towards it because you're doing the right thing. This is his shot. And I'm like, we're on borrowed time. He was supposed to have been gone after 3 months, and it's been 3.5 years. And my brother's a fighter. He's like, he went and got himself a job to take care of his wife, yet he's got to have oxygen and things like that. And he's a badass. Like, if you walked in the room, he'd be laughing and joking, and you wouldn't know that this is going on, because he's going to kill you with love. He's going to kill you with kindness. He's going to kill you with, you don't know that this is happening with my little brother. And so to wake up to that. And so it hit home with me today, but you're positive. I mean, just the way that you took this. Because I honestly would be like, I'm going to fucking kill this thing. I've got this. I'm going to go into this. Same thing.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't know any other way. But I do live my life. I just shared that with Chase. These guys around me in this space have given me this new outlook on life. They're all half my age, and I'm learning from them and looking out for them. I'm asking him all these questions because I want him to be okay when he goes, you know, and goes to Austria, you know, and stuff. And that's what it's supposed to be like.
Yeah.
You're supposed to pass it on. You're supposed to be kind to others, open a door for someone, throw them a smile, whatever it is. You don't know.
Yeah, you never know what level you're meeting someone at. And to your point, throw somebody a smile. It's the most contagious thing you can give.
Truly.
Right? But yet, you know, there's some aspects of the culture that, you know, you're not cool. You're not cool doing that. No,
right.
You are fucking cool.
Exactly.
You might be the coolest cat out there. I have a son and daughter. My son is going to be 24 next week, and my daughter is 22 now.
Okay.
And we were at Costco, and he must have been 11, 12 years old. And, you know, we're pushing our cart full of stuff, and I see this older lady, to me look like late 70s, and I see her open her trunk, and I look, and she's got a big case of water. And I turn to my son, I go, you hold the cart. I'll meet you at the truck. And I run across the parking lot, and I walk up to her, and I say, ma'am, would you do me the honor of allowing me to place this in your trunk for you? And, you know, I was helping a lady out, something I would do no matter what.
Right.
What I didn't realize was that my son just watched.
Right.
And when I came back over, and he goes, Dad, that might be the coolest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Right? We know that instinctively.
Right.
But somewhere in there we get lost. And so you know, obviously I'm feeling it off you too, man.
I do the exact same thing.
Right.
My girl, I'm 6'3", okay? I'm a big guy. And I go out of my way to help others. I go out of my way. I walk into the gym, and it's like I know everybody, and I don't know anyone. But I will jump over and help somebody who looks like they are struggling, but I'm going to push them for 2 more things. And my girl just watches, and she's like, wow. Like, and so now she was just shy to do those things. Like, walk up to somebody. I'm on the Stairmaster, and there's a much bigger person. This girl was big girl. I get up on the Stairmaster. I keep going. I'm going. I'm done. She's still going. I go wash my hands. I come back, and I look at her and said, you're putting me to shame. Great job. And I just wanted her to know. That's what I was thinking.
100%.
She needed to know that.
Yep.
Maybe she did. Maybe she didn't. Maybe she don't care. But I needed her to know that. Those little things.
What a gift.
You know, and that kind of stuff to help pass this stuff along, because people judge me by the way I look and whatever, and they're either scared of me or think that I'm a certain way. I smile and I say hello. I'm passing, walking. My daughter used to think that I knew every person in military outfit, like, their dress ups or whatever they're, because I'd walk up to them and thank them for the service. But it wasn't until I was at an airport and there was like 40 or 50 of them getting their bags, and I went down the line shaking every one of their hands. And she goes, "There's no way you know all of them." And I said, No, I don't. But I get to live my life the way I do. I'm a musician. I get to do this because they chose to do that, and I didn't choose to do that.
Right.
That's not a choice I made, but we need them.
100%.
And they need to know that I'm grateful. And she was like, it was that moment that she realized, oh, and I'm grateful for that. If I hear somebody is served, I wear my dad's dog tag. He's a Marine, and I wear it proudly. Like those kinds of things. That is the theme of today.
That's
with
love, right?
love.
That's
exactly.
love. 100%.
Exactly. The theme of today's show without a doubt, and it goes back to the type of person that you are. You have opening in a couple of days, you have a space that is rent controlled, but it's nice. It's as long as you're working, you have a job, you are working, you're eligible to rent in this space. Is that correct?
100%.
And so as long as you're out there putting in that time, you are eligible to live in this nice space, and you're growing this community, and you're giving back to those people and giving them a space that's controlled, and so, because that's scary. It's scary not knowing. It's scary getting up and not knowing where the next dollar's coming from or whatever. If you're working, even though I'm working here, but this still is piling on over here, it's getting in the hole. Everybody's been there, or at least most.
I know I was there. I think about when I first moved out, I knew nothing.
Right.
I mean, I'm going to tell you right now, making a payment, how do you do that as a young person? We did it.
Yeah.
But I remember it being overwhelming and daunting and everything else. So
without a doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I got to ask this question. Where are you now with your health?
Cancer-free.
Amazing.
Yeah. And I just passed the 2-year mark. So that's kind of a big checkpoint. The next one's 5 years, right? But I'm cancer-free, and it's not coming back. And, as we were talking earlier, the gift of having the ability to look through life through a different lens. I'm very, very particular about my time, and not to say that I'm stingy, because I still give it, but I'm clear that I'm using it for good all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so when B called me and he told me a little bit about you, and he's like, "You got to go on here," and I'm like, "All right." I was like, "This is the alignment. This is the space." So
I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Is there anything before we go that you would like to say or leave?
Yeah, I don't know how I top the.
I don't know
love,
either. I don't, and that's the thing. I don't want to just say, "Oh, that's it."
Yeah. No, I guess I would just, regardless of whatever challenge anybody's facing out there, it doesn't really matter what that is, right? Give yourself some grace. Don't be so hard on yourself all the time. There's a time that's useful, but most of the time it's exhaustive, it's draining. But get really clear about what it is that you want from your life. And I can promise you the way you're going to get it is by giving to others. Because every blessing I've ever got has come from my relationships through other people. And it doesn't have to be directly the person that I'm giving to. I call it the universal piggy bank, right? If I'm paying it forward in all these other areas, because I sit on multiple charity boards. I'm about to take over as the president of the foundation board for the Henderson Chamber of Commerce, which is all the community outreach stuff. And I look at vehicles and opportunities like that as I'm putting it in the universal piggy bank. I'm making a difference and most of these people I'll never meet, and nor do I need to meet. I just know that I'm paying it out there. And as we said earlier, it's coming 100% from love and from genuinely just want to leave it a better place. And so I would encourage anybody out there, Do yourself some good. You'll enjoy your life a lot more. And whatever struggle you think you're in, I promise you, when you start helping and giving to others, your struggle is going to seem very small.
Amazing. Amazing.
Thank you.
Our guest today, Joe D.
What up?
You had me on the floor today, and I really appreciate you coming in. Have you ever done anything like this, podcast? Like,
I'm a salesman, so I'm comfortable talking. But
I know, but just sitting down.
No, not.
And I appreciate you doing this with us.
Thank you.
It means a lot. Thank you so much.
I love the platform.
Thank you, Chase. Thank you so much today. We're going to be
My pleasure as always, man.
sending you off to Austria here real soon. Well, my name is Brian Hopkins, and I want to thank our sponsors, JPS Computers out of Oregon, SMP Inc. right here in Las Vegas and growing all over the country. To all the Rock Rage Radio listeners out there, as they say, we are everywhere. Joe D, thank you so much. I got to shake your hand, man.
Right on, Brian. Thank you, brother.
Yeah. Thank you for being here. Again, today's theme is love. Live your life in love. It's as easy as that. I mean, it's not easy, but go get it. All right. My name is Brian Hopkins. This is a Hero's Journey podcast. Thank you, guys.
Dream, and I believe it's coming around to me.
You